All right, so on this tune so far, we've looked at, and this is Lady Bird. We've looked at Peter Bernstein solo, and now we've looked a little bit at Chris Potter solo on one chorus. So we'll think about some takeaways here from this Chris Potter solo. So let's say we're on C major 7 here. Okay, so we talked about this tone as being a little bit outside, and it kind of gives a little direction towards the third. So it's kind of an outside sound. So you say, okay, well, and then this is not a chord tone either, but we have the 9 that is going after, right? Okay, and then we get the C major 7. Okay, so just some, maybe interesting practice ideas that you might try to play around with on this. Take a collection of these notes, see if maybe you can arrange C as the lowest note, and we have so C, E flat, E, G, right, and B, right. And let's see, we maybe add another couple of notes just to give us something. It's like kind of a 7-note scale. Okay. Now, we're not really making any claims that that's what he's thinking about, but we're thinking about maybe a practice sort of idea or a concept that we can use to say, okay, well, let's take a collection of tones that that someone's played within a phrase and see if we can connect those by some other steps. So that E flat is probably more in the context of the line. It's more of something that's targeting the third, right? So that's more likely that's what his intention is there. Okay, we talked a little bit about this part. So if you have a minor third between two tones that you want to focus on, here we have the 7 and we have the 9, right? And we can play and kind of connect those tones with the major 7 and the D, and kind of get everything in between. Thinking too about how things land and what tone the musician lands on, or the improviser lands on. Okay, so here's another spot where we have a little bit of a chromatic note connecting two tones, the 11 and the flat third. So we have just a little connection in between those two. Right, and then we have this another tone that's a little outside, similar to the E flat. So it's a little bit outside of the sound of F minor, but in the context, it's gonna target that C, right? All right. But again, you could kind of play around with that. And see if you can, formulate some more kind of like a scale, just sort of see if you can kind of connect the notes and listen to it. But again, in context, or just kind of targeting that fifth. Okay, and then here, right, we have this downward motion, right? And with dominant seventh type, we have this 4 wants to go to the 3, and the flat 9 wants to go to the root, right? We're gonna hear how that kind of wants to go there, right? And then that flat 9 really makes that work nicely as well. Okay. Right? And that back to that 5th. Okay. So we had several moments where we went a half step below something, right? That was in the context of C. And then we had that was in the context of F. Okay. And then he does that again on the C. Okay. And then again, kind of in a sense, on the C up here, the root note. But we get something above it as well. So we get encircling in a chromatic way. Okay. Now here we're, maybe using, he may be using sequence or some memory of what he played before. But here we get a very similar sort of rhythm anyway, and similar notes to start out with. Okay, so we could maybe take that concept, take a rhythm, but then have your notes adapt to whatever the harmony is, right? So he's going to play D flat there because the chord is minor. Right? Okay. So before he played, and now he's playing. Okay. So comparing those and contrasting those. Okay. All right, so let's see. Think a little bit here about some other moments that are kind of similar. Okay, we get this. Okay. Okay. And then we're going to get into this. So quite a few moments here where he's using triads, outlining triads. So just earlier we had this E flat major triad. So notice there's no 7 in that, at least in that moment. Here A minor. There's no 7 in that moment, right? Okay, and then here. Okay, so again here, playing a half step lower than the note you're targeting. All right, so that is something that we could utilize. Okay. Get an augmented triad. Right? So those are a few elements that we can use in our own soloing. Okay, so here's another moment, like we said earlier, where you could use the chromatic tones if you have a tone here, the 5th of a chord, or the 3rd of a chord, and just fill in the spaces in between, with a triplet, right? And that way you land on the, and sort of kind of the math works out, right? So really using that flat 3rd and then the 3rd to a great extent there. Yeah. All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it for our talk here today. If you are checking this out on the podcast, be sure to check out the YouTube channel where we have a live video, live stream video, and recorded. Actually, today we only did the podcast for the last 10 minutes. So I do something similar to that in the future as well. See how things progress. But thanks again for checking this out, and I will see you all in the next one.